Good morning, everyone. I love this song. Hopefully you're all feeling like champions this morning. I love that song. That's Carrie Underwood. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. And if you're joining us live today, go ahead and comment in the comments section. We are streaming live to a group and a page. And so therefore, Facebook has this thing where I can't see who's posting unless you sign your post. I can go back to the group and the page individually, but it all kind of comes into one portal here. So I would love to know who you are if you would like to sign your name when you comment. So again, welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. It is our 114th episode, and today our special guest is going to be Marianne Cherico, who many of you know, and she'll be speaking about what her topic is at our conference in Denver at the end of September, 24th, 25th, and 26th, which is our iHosp Conference and Expo family reunion, and we are very excited for being able to bring this to you live and in person. So make your plans. The hotel has special rates for us. Of course, that ends the month before the event. So our special hotel pricing, and that's not, I have no control over that. So in the past couple of years, I have been able to sort of be a little outside the box name and have them held for people that come in the last month or so before. But, you know, can book a hotel room. It's not like you lose your money if you decide to cancel the hotel room, but please book your space, your rooms. You can room share on our iHosp Conference and Expo page on Facebook. You can request to share a room with someone, meet somebody new, or come in with a friend or whoever. You guys can room share, and a lot of our attendees end up doing that. So the Gaylord Rockies is a beautiful hotel right by the airport, super easy to get to, and you can't miss it because it's the biggest thing out there outside of the airport. And September, the weather should be really nice. Right now, we have had hundreds. I think it hit 100 yesterday, and I got in my car yesterday, and it said 113, which I don't think it was really that hot, but my car had been sitting, so it is warm. We'll have a break in weather this week. Usually that time of the year, it's really nice, and we might even get snow. You never know. So make your plans to come and join us. It's going to be an awesome, awesome event. We've got fabulous speakers, and I want to show you who our lineup is. If you've been haven't seen these, we have our keynote speakers, and of course, we bring you four for the price of one, right? So we have four amazing speakers. Chris Weidener, who's up on the top left there, if you're looking at the screen, he has written 22 bestsellers. He's ranked in the top 50 most influential and top motivational speakers in the world for business and for motivation. He has had shows with Zig Ziglar. Jim Rohn was he was sort of Jim Rohn's protege. And so he's very well known in that world. So we're very privileged to have him coming and sharing with us on building a big impact business, and not only impacting your clients and people today, but what will your impact be years from now? So that's really what the focus is. Ravi on the right-hand side, Ravi Huthi Singh, he is going to be our mindset keynote. He's going to talk about pivot. And we heard a lot about that word this past year, having to reinvent ourselves. And certainly he has done that several times in his career. Started off, as far as we know, as a musician for the band Hanson. And then when Napster took over and the digital era came into play with music, things shifted for a lot of these performers. And so he had to reinvent himself. And he's now what he calls a cultural catalyst. He is related to the Gandhi family of India. And so he has that kind of political, cultural background that he's parlayed into something that he does that's super interesting. But being able to stay relevant versus redundant is the mindset for his talk. The bottom right, we have Johnny Fowler. And Johnny Fowler is going to be our marketing keynote. His session will be packed full of helpful information on social media, algorithms, and how to outsmart them, and how to make the best use of your time and effort on platforms like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and so forth. So we're very privileged to have him joining us. And then on the bottom left corner, Deshauna Barber is our inspirational keynote. And she is a former Miss USA. She was the first African-American woman to win that and also be a Army captain. So she was serving in the military while she was doing that. And her story is fairly impressive. I mean, very impressive. It's amazing. She, I've seen some of her talks that have gone viral. And, she just is really a great example of never giving up and pursuing your passion. And so, really excited to have her joining us. We've got a great lineup of keynotes. And then on top of that, we have these are our breakout session speakers. So on Saturday afternoon, we have our breakout sessions, and these are the ones we have lined up so far. And you can see June Carter on the left. She'll talk about being productive with your business and systems and so forth, which is so important. Marianne Cherico, who's our guest today, she'll be talking about getting business from realtors. Bridget King on the right, she's talking about, she has 7 different market niches or business being developed for your business to increase your revenue and diversify your income stream, which has become very important in this market, especially because there's some markets where people are slammed, the stagers are super busy, and others where they're not, because the idea is, well, we don't have to stage. The houses are going to sell anyway. And that, in and of itself is a topic for why that's a foolish thing for anybody to think when they're selling. However, it's the reality in some of these markets. And so when you have diversified your services, you're not relying just on one specific niche, and you can continue to earn income, which is really important. Karen Mendenhall and then Kat Trelinos, who are on the bottom right and middle right, they're going to share a session on doing occupied home staging. And if you know these ladies, you know that's going to be a fabulous session. They both kind of submitted for the same topic, and I thought they would be great to be together to share that and talk about how to make money off occupied stagings, because there's a point where, stagers, maybe even from the beginning, don't want to have to warehouse a bunch of stuff. And there's great money in doing occupied hands-on staging using what the homeowner has and supplementing with a few things, but not necessarily having to bring in an entire house full or truck full of furniture. Teresa Thomas, bottom middle, going from SOAR, SORE, to SOAR, SOAR, which is our theme, and sort of a mindset journey, if you will, session. So those are always important as well, because I feel, and I've said this before, sometimes I feel like what gets put out on social media is all the good stuff. And we rarely hear about challenges people are facing, or even when life might be, very challenging and we're struggling. And so it's important that everybody understand that everybody goes through that. And especially if you're newer, you don't have to hide your challenges. And I just want to encourage people to know that there are plenty of people, including me, that will reach out and share from our past experience to let you know you're not alone and what you're going through is normal, and I'll give you some really helpful advice. So I'm looking forward to Teresa's session. Amy Powers on the left, she's going to talk about an attitude of appreciation with your team, how to really build that within your team, kind of the company culture, so important. And then Leslie Kramer, middle left, we'll be talking about selling your business and strategies for positioning your business, whether that's in the near future or distant future. There's certain things that we all need to be aware of when it comes to that time, and so that it's not a scramble trying to gather information and or word things properly. And I mean, even how you follow your taxes and how you represent the things that we purchased, we've called it inventory all these years, and that's a bad word when it comes to selling and dealing with lenders or business loans. And so terminology should be equipment or supply, staging supply, things like that. So it's an income generating asset. So just things like that, these little nuggets you're going to take away from that. And looking forward to all of our breakout session speakers. All the sessions will be recorded. So we have beginning, intermediate, and advanced sessions. And so you'll be placed based on your years of experience in the room where you belong. But every session is going to be recorded, and you'll be able to get the information after conference. We're going to share all the videos with everybody, so you'll have access to all info. And then we have our main stage speakers that will be sharing. And so on the left, Joseph Hecker is going to be talking about leveraging networks. And if you know Joseph, you know that he's a master at networking and pulling people together and leveraging the relationships you already have to accomplish the goals that you want to have. And so he'll be sharing, and he'll be part of our designation, which is sales and marketing specialist. And here's that same, the logo here. I keep not having the one with the in it. Sales and marketing specialist. That's our new designation that we're giving out. So our events are always a getaway with a takeaway. So there'll be several sessions, unlike in the past where we had one like 2 or 3 hour session on the designation. This time, designation will be woven throughout the conference with different speakers. So Joseph's session will be part of that. So will Johnny Fowler's, Joanne Leonard Weary's will be as well. She's the boss marketing um, system, and so she's going to be talking about marketing your business and different strategies for winning versus whining, which I love. And then mine is a discovery session, and it will also be part of the SMS designation. And we're going to learn about who we are and how to relate to our clients and adjust and adapt, and also how to add people to our team. And then in the middle columns, you have my husband, John, and my son, Stephen. They're both realtors here. And we're going to have a realtor panel and talk about ideas for stagers of how to better add value to real estate agents' process and get business from them. And John Reagan on the bottom left will also be part of that panel. And we'll probably have one more person on there. And then on the bottom right, Sandra Ray's staging and design trends. Of course, we're going to bring you the latest and greatest of what's here, what's coming, what the predictions are, so that we can stay on top of all of that, which is super important in our industry. So exciting lineup. And then the 27th and 28th of September is the advanced stager training session. So it's a workshop session. So it's not really people, sitting there lecturing at you or speaking and you don't get to give any feedback. It's very interactive. It's for 6+ figure business owners. So if you're there, almost there, plan on attending. Meals are included for so that would be Monday and Tuesday. So Monday, lunch and dinner is included, and then Tuesday, lunch is included, and probably do something maybe like continental breakfast type thing as well. It's so valuable to get together with your colleagues and talk about what is working and areas of challenge, and to hear how other people have solved the challenges in their business as well. So for the first time, we are going to have 2 of our keynote speakers that will be joining us for this session, and that's going to be Chris Weidener and Johnny Fowler. And so again, very privileged to have both those gentlemen willing to give more of their time to share more intimately with a group of business owners that are more advanced than some of the other attendees who might be newer that come to our conference. And so we are really looking forward to that. When you register for both the conference and the advanced stager training, there is some money you can save. We have a bundle ticket, so make sure to ask about that. Space is limited for the AST. Space is limited, so don't wait to get registered for that, because there's a point where we cannot put any more people in the room. And as part of our event on Sunday night, of course, we've got our Great Gatsby Gala, which is going to be super fun. It's our awards dinner. So no one else does it like we do as far as the celebration of our industry. So we not only bring you a fabulous vendor expo all 3 days, but we also celebrate. We're going to wrap up our conference with a big party, if you will, celebration, Great Gatsby theme. So whip out your flapper dresses and your pearls and your dapper shoes, guys. I don't know what you call the guys, a zoot suit, I suppose. Some people will come in costume. You don't have to, but it's encouraged. Even if you just put a hat on or have some jewelry, they just kind of get in the spirit. So that'll be Sunday evening, and of course our awards gala will be part of that. So looking forward to that, and that's all included in your ticket. And then if you have a significant other that you would like to have come to the dinner or see some of the keynotes, we have those parceled out. You can buy those separately. Right now through July 17th, you can nominate people for the Best of Home Staging 2021. Best of Home Staging. This is industry wide. So you can nominate people for their staging excellence, their industry leadership, and their client care excellence. And then the nominations close on July 17th. We will take a look at everything, and then the people that have been recognized will receive your logos, and you can plaster them all over Facebook and social media to brag and toot your horn that you are considered the best in the home staging industry. So again, anybody can nominate. You can self-nominate even. It is industry-wide. It is not relegated to one particular association or another. You don't have to be part of IHOS to nominate somebody. So again, it's open to the entire staging industry. And every year people will ask me, well, how do I get recognized? You have to pay attention to social media, because we've put this everywhere. We've emailed people. And so just Don't let the deadline slip past you. So this is recognition. And of course, the awards that are part of our Great Gatsby Gala, those are the individual categories for like best vacant, staging, best occupied, etc. And those are recognized, and awards are given at the gala. So that will not be open for nominations until July. Later part of July, we'll start getting those out there. So anyway, excited for everything we have coming, and hopefully you are too. We, do our best to bring you the best. And with that in mind, I'm now going to bring in the best person I know in the Northeast here, Marianne Cherico. Who does what she does. Here she is. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a
How are you? I
beautiful
can turn my
day
volume
here.
up. I know.
It's been really muggy and rainy, but it's just gorgeous out today.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we have like it's gonna be 100 degrees today, and then tomorrow it'll be dropped down to 85. Thank goodness,
Oh
because
my
it's been a little too warm.
well, I can't wait to come to Colorado. I'm so excited.
I'm excited you are coming too, and I'm excited to see you. And I've missed everybody so much. I feel so. I mean, everybody feels this way, disconnected. You just feel sort of like it's been so long since we've been able to see people and embrace and hug and just the same thing, and just be able to be together. So I'm really looking forward to having you with us in Denver. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah,
So
it'll be
for
so nice to see everybody, and
yeah,
I'm so
so
looking
for
forward to it.
so for people who don't know who you are, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people what you do.
So I am a home staging coach. I'm a trained personal and professional development coach, and I've owned and operated a staging business since 2005 here in Massachusetts. I still do it, mostly consults, and mostly my real estate agent partners hire me to do them, which is great. Um, I also was in the real estate business for 27 years. So that's pretty much what I do. I also have a podcast called Home Stagers and Designers on Fire. And I've interviewed Jenny and a lot of other rock stars in the home staging business. So it's on Apple and all the platforms. But yeah, and I'm excited to be talking about getting more business from real estate agents at the conference.
I think, and that's such an important topic because you had submitted another one, and it seems like every year, or just in general, the two areas I see that stagers, new people struggle with, and even seasoned ones, it's marketing and getting the business. How do you get the business from real estate agents, and then pricing. So a lot of people, they'll name their company, maybe they take a class, they're like, I'm setting up shop to get their business cards, and then they're like, why isn't the phone ringing? Why am I not getting any business? Right?
Yeah, big time. And I think that, definitely, I think it's great to take all the classes and to get your certifications. But the bottom line is, I think a lot of stagers hide behind making up a beautiful website or hide behind their computer instead of really building those relationships with agents. And that is the single most effective, fastest way to fill your calendar with staging business. It really, truly is. And my agents through the years have hired me to do the consults, but it's led to all kinds of incredible jobs. Like, I've done design jobs for the New England Patriots for 3 different Patriots because a real estate agent referred me. I've done model homes, I've done model apartments, luxury homes, all kinds of staging and design jobs through the years. And it's because I've won the trust of the agents by getting them great results with my consult. And my goal when I do my consult, contrary to what I was taught back in 2005, was to give them everything I possibly can, minus sourcing. That's a separate fee. But to really tell them how I think I would arrange the room, what I would do for affordable updates, and to look at it as a real estate transaction and how I can optimize the showing power in order to maximize the equity. And so once the agents see that you get great results with the affordable and highly effective consult, you've won their trust. And when you win agents' trust, they become the gift that keeps on giving, and it doesn't become about price. And that's the really golden thing that I want people to know. Agents aren't always looking for the cheapest for their contractors because they know the cheapest are the ones that often don't show up. Or I've even had a paint contractor for a $800,000 house who, you know, they went with the cheapest paint contractor and he decided to use his own colors
Oh
instead
my
of the ones
goodness.
that I gave them in the staging report because he happened to have that paint. So you get what you pay for, and agents get that. They just want somebody that's going to take great care of their clients.
We lost your sound.
Um,
There you are. Okay, good. Hi.
and sorry, the phone
Okay.
was ringing through. And somebody that they can trust and somebody that will get them great results. And I think that one thing that stagers forget when they hide behind their computer and, you know, don't want to meet with the agents is that an agent isn't going to refer anybody that they don't already know, like, and trust, because they're very keenly aware that you're an extension.
Right. I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, the agents, um, I love what you said about, yeah, that you get what you pay for. You know, you don't want to be the cheapest. And so initially they might be shopping on price, but what you said, when they trust you and you are adding value to their process, they're not going to shop you. They're going to like, they consider the stager an extension of their team. And so that's the role that we all want to get into. How can I be part of their team? And so, I mean, one of the easiest ways is ask. Sit down and ask a realtor, you know, how can I become part of your team? I love what you do for your business. You know, you approach your business the way I do. You know, you compliment them and say, you know, I'd love to be able to be part of your team as your preferred stager. You know, and how can I be the chosen one? And then listen to what they say. I think a lot of stagers, if there's realtor says, well, I already have a stager, they just go, okay, and they cross them off their list. I'm like, no, no, no. Continue to kind of drip on it, because I can't tell you the number of realtors that have come and said, my stager is no longer doing it. She's too busy. She's moved away. I'm not happy anymore, whatever it is. And they're looking. So as long as you've been kind of ever top of mind by, you know, reaching out to them periodically, then you're going to get that call.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I find that my stagers that are in my group coaching program struggle with the most, because they they don't want to keep calling the agent or messaging the agent because they feel like they're being a pest, or they, you know, they make up stories in their head. And that's why I talk a lot about mindset, because the stories we tell ourselves in our head about why an agent didn't get back to you sabotages us from moving forward. And one of the big ones right now is houses are selling like hotcakes in my area, so they don't need me. And this is, you know, this is where I really love to focus on reframing your mindset, because I know for a fact that that's a story, because I'm in an area in Massachusetts where houses are absolutely selling like hotcakes. They're on fire. And yet my agents, my preferred agent partners, who I'm going to be talking about in the class, who my ideal real estate agent client avatars are and why that's really important, and connect the dots with your messaging. So we'll be talking about that at the IHOS convention. But my clients, my real estate agent clients, hire me in any market to do that consult. And, you know, I just got a message from one of them, and this is not about patting me on the back, but it's to prove a point, that she said they had 19 offers on the house, went way over asking price. It was a mid-range house. And she said it was directly impacted by the staging. In fact, somebody that had seen the house before it was staged said that they didn't recognize the house at all.
Wow.
So the bottom line is, in any market, somebody's leaving money on the table. And in our program, when I talk at iHosp, Jenny, I'm going to connect the dots so deep for people. I'm going to show them, according to the National Association of Realtors profile, 2021 profile on home staging. I'm going to connect the dots to show them how the agent makes more money when they stage by thousands,
Thousands.
according to their own stats. So when we can do that as stagers, when we can connect the dots, giving them their own stats and say, this is why you do it. You don't want your clients leaving money on the table. And there's other benefits that realtors get when they work with us. So my whole philosophy is, as a stager, it's incumbent on us to teach the agents how we help them build their business. And that's my goal with everything I do, is how do I show my stagers how they can show the realtor how they help them build their business. And that's what, a lot of times stagers are going and talking about staging. They don't care about staging. They care about how you're going to help them get. I'm not saying they don't care about staging. I'm being facetious, but what I'm saying is what they really care, what's really in it for them, is how you help them get listings,
Right.
how you help them build raving fans and clients for life.
It's all about it's all about the WIFM. What's in it for me?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And so and that's so important because you're right. A lot of the, doing a presentation, let's say you have an opportunity to go to an office now that COVID restrictions have been lifted, and you have 5 minutes, what are you going to share? Well, it's not all about your fabulous inventory and how great you make houses look. It's how can I make these realtors more productive to save them time, because now you're taking clients, handling the clients that they don't want to have to be in the hot seat with, but also making them more money. Because not only when a house sells for more, the seller's happy, ecstatic, and the realtor makes more commission. And when you add up those commission pieces, a little bit of here, a little bit here, it all adds up to a lot more. And that's the disconnect that realtors miss. And so I remember when my husband got into real estate in 2005, in California, and he was competing against 8 other agents that were farming. It was a hot market in Sacramento area, and so he was brand new. He didn't have any experience to lean on, but what he did have was me as the stager, because I'd been doing it for 3 years. And so for his messaging was, I'm going to do more to help you get more. I'm going to do more to help you get more. And then as the market shifted, I'm going to do more to help you keep more. And so that message was for the homeowners, that I'm going to help you get even more equity. And so I started thinking, like, well, what difference does it make, if a realtor promotes staging or not? So I broke it down by, they had 2 to 4 houses a month that they were listing, and all they did was add staging based on the national stats. They could expect to make X amount more. And it came up to be somewhere between, with saving on having to market the house because the house is going to sell faster, it was like 48,000 to almost 90,000 more a year
Yeah.
for somebody listing 2 to 4 houses a month. That's significant.
Absolutely. And I'm going to break down those numbers, like if a realtor does 20 deals a year and how that would impact their income. And so it's incumbent on stagers. And this is the whole thing, is that it's really incumbent on stagers to understand how to give the real estate agents what they want so that they see them as the perfect stager for them. This is what sets you apart. When you understand them so deeply that you position your services in a way that helps them get listings, that helps them, again, create clients for life. I mean, the lifetime value of a client could be hundreds of thousands of dollars to that agent.
Right.
So it's up to us to talk to them on their level instead of feeling that they're above us. A lot of the stages, I feel, energetically feel as though they're above us. This is about a symbiotic business relationship where you're actually coming from a place of service and showing them how you can help them. And they will reward you handsomely because, honestly, in my experience, they are incredibly loyal to contractors that they work with. Some of them, I'm working with an agent that I've been working with since 2005, and he repeatedly gives me tons of business. I don't even market anymore. And so it's not about getting a ton of realtors. You don't have to get a ton, but you do have to put yourself out there, get yourself out of your comfort zone, and you have to be able to articulate your value to them.
And I think it's, when, like, kind of going back to like the data and the stats and so forth, the reason that it's important as business owners to know the impact that we make fiscally on their business, on the industry at large. I broke that down in the home staging industry stats and we'll be doing another survey for 2021. I know based on what, for 2019, 2020, that we impacted 20% of the houses that were bought and sold in the United States, 20%. So there was about 5 to 6 million transactions. So you do the math. We impacted a lot of people. You look at it, that would be, if it was, let's say it's 5 million houses at 20%, that's a million listing agents, a million buyers agents, a million sellers, a million buyers. We impacted a lot of people collectively as an industry. And so you want to know what your data is, because that is what the realtor then can use to get the seller on board. Because it's not enough to say, well, your house is going to look fabulous and buyers need to see that. We're asking sellers to possibly put out a significant chunk of money for them. And so, what is the benefit for them? And so I have a client right now that they were under contract. They fell out. They had a swell in their sewer. We've got these clay pipes where we are for the sewer systems, and so sometimes if they're older, they can have a swell, and so they do the sewer scope. And if the buyer thinks things are going to get stuck there and the whole system's going to back up, that becomes an issue for the inspection, negotiation, whatever. And so the buyer's agent, they did the sewer scope, and I don't know what happened on the seller's side, but the buyers walked. They were too concerned about this particular issue. So now this house is going to go back in the market. It's dated. They have a bed in the master, and I think a bed downstairs for their kid, but no other furniture. And it's a $750,000 property in our market. So the staging, of the main rooms came in at under 2,000. And the seller connection goes, "Well, my budget's only $1,200." And I said, "Well, you'd be able to do a couple of rooms for that." I said, "But I wouldn't. It's not going to make the impact that you need to really get buyers to look past the fact that your house is somewhat dated and to really get the price that you want." And the seller thinks, "Well, the new sewer, we put 40,000 into this, that, and the other thing." That's maintenance. That was deferred maintenance that they didn't do. A new roof, you can market that, but that's not an improvement. That is maintenance. And the same thing with the sewer scope. And I wrote an article for I think it was Inman or NAR about this, that people will say, "I put all this money in to replace my water heater or fix my broken windows," and they think they've improved their house. It's like, no, that was deferred maintenance. An improvement would be like going from linoleum to hardwood floors, or Corian to granite. You're actually improving the elements inside the house. So yeah.
Totally. And buyers expect, and this is what, to your point, people don't understand. That's why it's important for us as stages to teach the sellers how to think like the buyer. The buyer doesn't care. They expect that the sewer will be working, the heating system will be working, the roof won't be leaking. And if you've put that maintenance off, deferred maintenance, then the buyers don't care. They expect that those things will be working. Staging is like rising to the top, where you're marketing and packaging in order to engage more buyers, especially at the beginning. So you create that FOMO factor, and that's where you get the bidding wars. That's where you get the 19 offers, because the online pictures look great and everybody wants to see it at once in a hot market, right? And they're afraid that somebody else is going to get it away from you.
Right. And so Young Kim, who's in Ohio, so she's writing, she says, "I can confirm," and she's a realtor, and it's ASPRE. So she says, "I confirm that houses are selling without staging in today's market, but staged homes are selling for much higher price than the other non-staged homes." And that's the data that we need to be tracking. So I'm actually asking my clients, so stagers listening, you have to ask your realtor clients, "Tell me the story. Tell me what happened. How many offers did you get? When did you go under contract? How much more above list did you get?" And so you want to start using those numbers, because we need that data for our statistics, because we want to be putting real data out into the world about pricing. There was someone in one of our groups that said they were asked to stage a property. I guess she's a realtor, but also does staging. And so they had come up with a price. They included it as part of their listing package. And the seller came back and said, "Well, the national average says it's $700. That's all I want to pay." And I'm thinking, like, where the heck does it say $700? This has been my fight the last couple of years. It's like, we have to get the right information into the hands of the public. So I'm sure that was for a consultation, maybe a quick hands-on. It wasn't for a full vacant. And that's why the stats that we did for under homestagingstats.com actually have for vacant houses. This is the expected amount you can expect nationwide, and for luxury properties, it's going to be more. So we give them the real numbers so that they are educated. They don't think they're going to get, champagne taste on a beer budget.
Yeah, and there's so many different business models of staging. I mean, even the clients that I coach have different models for doing their consults. Some do up to 2 hours and they do some hands-on. When I do my consult, I don't really have a time frame. It usually takes an hour to an hour and a half. I follow up with a report, because for me, I feel as though that's how I get the best results. But everybody has a different model. So what one person charges in one area, I mean, I know stagers in my area that charge half of what I charge for my consults. And when I've talked to them about it, I just said, I'm working half as hard as you for the same amount of money. Like, why would you want to do that? We had lunch. It wasn't making her
Right.
thing. And she just said, I don't really need the money. So that's great. But that to me is more of a hobby then, you know.
Right. It's not a business. And the thing is, it's, you know, that mindset, you know, I don't really need the money. Well, I say don't devalue the market for everybody else. You know, price yourself where you're, because that's the value you bring. It's not just, you know, because you kind of break down like in a consultation, what are you doing? It's not just going in and saying, you know, close your toilet and make your bed and pick up the garbage or whatever. A lot of it is, it's more importantly, it's getting that seller on board with making the changes that are necessary and getting them to understand why they have to do that. So you don't end up with a resistor. And so, and we don't have a lot of time to size that client up. You walk in the door and you got to figure out who is this person. You start, I immediately start looking around. I look at what they're wearing, and sometimes the realtor can give you a clue as far as temperament, but we have to adjust ourselves on the spot and then read their body language as we're going through the house with them. So I'm like you, I like to do them in person versus, and I know with COVID, it was a little tough with people doing virtual consultations, and you can't, I can't, if it's virtual, I can't see them go, or, you know, you know,
It's the
on
most
the,
important trait I think that you can have when you do consults is to be able to read body language and diffuse the energy, get them laughing, you know, tap into them, ask them, you know, I sometimes point blank say, you know, you seem really stressed and I do not want to stress you out. You know, do you want to talk about it? Like, I feel like I'm stressing you out. Like, just call them out on it in a
right,
nice way. Like, be compassionate, be kind, but be honest. And because when they're like this, they're not listening to what you're saying and you're not going to get the results. That's why personally I like to do a follow-up report, because I really want this connection when I'm with them. Because if they don't trust me, and to your point, we don't have a lot of time to win that trust. If they don't trust me, then they're not going to buy into what I'm asking them to do that they already don't want to do. They just want
right.
to get the house on the market, have the agent pull a rabbit out of a hat, sell their overpriced, messy house, and be on with it. So we're asking them to do something that they don't necessarily want to do.
Well, it's also they're being told they don't have to do it because the market's so hot. The expectation is my house is going to sell anyway. And it's like, I'm sorry, people don't want to walk into your kids drew all over the walls with Sharpie. First of all, this I've seen two houses in the last couple of weeks where I'm like, I have four kids. They never drew on the walls. You know why? Because I told them not to, and I didn't give them Sharpies when they were young. I gave them markers and paper, and said, this is where you draw. So it just blows my mind that you let people let their kids destroy their houses, and then so no buyer's going to walk in and want to see that. It's gonna, or if people really don't care, guess what? You just left thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on the table.
And that it's as simple as saying to them, look, you know, sometimes I'll say, because this diffuses the energy too, if you don't want to do any of this, all I ask is that you hear me out and that I can be honest with you. Can I be honest with you? And if they say yes, I say, you know, and then if they keep giving me resistance, I'll just say, honestly, you can, when I send you the report, you can take it and rip it to shreds and throw you. Honestly, you could do whatever you want with it. My job is to do the very best I can for you so that you don't leave money on the table. I genuinely care about that for you. But if you don't want, so in other words, you're not fighting them.
Right.
You're saying
It's
it's
up to
okay.
them.
If you don't want to do anything, don't do it. Please don't do it. You know. And then they're like, once you do that,
Takeaway.
ironically, they like, oh no, we want to know, we want to hear. And you can see them through the process, letting their guard down. Where to the end of it, or to the 3/4 of the way or half of the way through, they're saying, do you think I should do this? These are the people that were like this, that didn't want to do anything. So it really is how you handle your people. And that's why agents need to meet you, because they need to know how you're going to handle their people. And they'll be able to know, not from hiding behind a website.
Right. And it's also, so we are an extension of the real estate agent. And I'll say this to the agents out there too, is to trust your stager. We're an advocate for you. We're an advocate for your client. We want the same results. And I think because listings are hard to get, I mean, it's very competitive. There's not as much inventory year over year available. So all these agents are competing for the same properties. I will say that my son and husband are having their best year ever, even with the down availability of properties, because of how they're going after clients and marketing. And of course, they're including the staging. And so they just put like 6 houses on the market. They have a bunch of buyers they're working with. And so staging is a market differentiator. So stagers, that's one of the key things when the realtors are going for listings. Staging will set them apart or put them on equal footing with another agent. And then the agents can't be afraid of, potentially not upsetting a seller, but pushing back. And as an example, this only happened. This is only the second time it's ever happened in my, almost 20 years of staging 6,000 properties. We staged a vacant property, and the seller wasn't supposed to be there. And the team got there, and he had his toothbrush and some, damp pink towels. I'm like, this is weird. Is he staying in the house? What's happening? And the realtor's like, oh no, he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there. Well, he stayed the whole time they were staging, and then proceeded. He was an older guy. And he proceeded to, I don't like this. I don't like that, and it's not being done for him. And I wasn't there. The team always does a good job kind of mitigating that. So the bottom line was, he didn't like the furniture. He didn't like these different things. And we had to go pick up our things. And I let the realtors know, I said, there's nothing wrong with the staging. I said, what's the challenge is this guy needs to step out of the way. He's not buying his house back. And I want to work with agents that have our back, that are going to support what we do, because ultimately the seller could hate everything that we bring in. It's not being done for them. And so it's as important to, work with your realtors and explain that I don't want them to potentially risk losing a listing because something that we do might be upsetting to the seller. I'd rather have the opportunity to talk to the seller directly and maybe make some adjustments as needed. We compromise or something, but just to say, get it all out. To me, that's just silly. Now you're going to sell a product because you're afraid of your client, and he's going to complain because you're not getting him the price he wants because he sabotaged the staging part of it. So it just shooting yourself in the feet. So, but I understand that for real estate agents, it is hard to get a listing, and you don't want somebody coming in that could upset the apple cart. But by the same token, it's not serving the seller to allow them to be the one driving the train. That realtor is supposed to be driving the train, and the stager, and the seller is supposed to be like, leaving the train goodbye, right? Not on the train in the conductor's thing, right?
Yeah, and it's tricky because you obviously, if it's a relationship you've had with that agent, um, you want to make sure that they have your back, but you also
Yeah,
want to make sure that you're having their back. So it's a symbiotic relationship. I always make sure that I let the clients know when I'm going out to do a consult how awesome their agent is, and how this is something that other agents in their area aren't doing. And that's because they care so deeply about their clients. And I just think it's really important to do that, because these agents trust me. They're giving me their business, and I want these clients of theirs to know that this is a value add they're getting because they're working with this particular agent. In the book Ninja Selling, which is geared toward real estate agents, it's a really good book. They talk about how every seller knows 12 agents at least, right? So what is going to set you as an agent apart? Well, at one point in the book, in some of the pages in the 80s, I think it was page 86 or something, it talks about the expectations of sellers now in this market. And really, the sellers that want to pay a full commission expect that some kind of staging is going to be done. Some of them are expecting floor plans. They expect more. Now, do real estate agents work their butts off? Absolutely. Do we only see the tip of the iceberg? Been there 27 years. Real estate agents are some of the hardest working people. Nobody has any idea how hard they work. But having said that, the perception of sellers is that they're making, thousands and thousands of dollars on a, 5% commission for a $500,000 house is 25,000. So to that seller, that's a lot of money, right? So their perception is, what are you going to do for me? And that's where, when real estate agents are competing, or, they're trying to set themselves apart from those 12 agents, at the very least, add a consult as part of your marketing plan. I teach my stagers how to teach the agents to use this to tip the scale to get the listing. Because
absolutely.
if they're offering it and the others aren't, they're going to want to know why. Why
Yeah.
aren't you marketing the same way that this person's marketing? What are you going to do for me? I mean, when sellers go online to see what their house is going to be on the market, they want to know what the price is going to be before they contact the agent. They're going to see that some of those listings look great and some of them don't. And if they're thinking of working with an agent that the photos are dark and, the rooms are messy, And then they see another agent that they're talking to where they present their listings. They're going to get it. They're going to go ding, ding, ding in a way that you can't tell them, that they have to see for themselves.
Right. And I think edifying the agent, you were talking about that, that's so important. Always edify whoever you're working with to the client. Like, you made a great choice, you're in great hands, it's going to be a great process, or whatever you want to word it. But edification is super important. And so I think with, getting the business and the marketing aspect of it, kind of circling back to that part of it, how do stagers, should I do an advertisement? Should I put myself in a guide for a golf course community that's $400 and blah, blah, blah. It's the relationship. So now that COVID veil has lifted, because last year might have been a little bit tougher because you couldn't really get together one-on-one, but you can make phone calls. And, yes, realtors are very productive. Their time is limited. We give them back their time. And that's one of the time is the great equalizer. So when we are the ones handling the client and walking through and telling them, make your beds and put your kids' toys away and doing these different things, that not only makes them seem bigger because you're part of their team, you're taking them out of the hot seat and you're giving them back that 1 to 2 hours of time where, I have to go do a consultation after this. It's an hour from my house. I'll do the consultation. So that'll probably be 3 hours of time. And so that if the realtors were doing that, 3 hours, they could be making a lot of calls or working on other aspects of their business. So we're giving them back their time. They could even just be spending time with their family. So they don't feel like they have to be the one all the time. So they're leveraging their time through the stager, which is so important. And that's the messaging that we have to get to the agents of why would you want to include it? So it's a market differentiator. You can leverage your time. And, we're going to be an extension of you. And then the other big piece of it that stagers need to think about is a potential referral opportunity back to your realtor clients. So as a stager, always be thinking about, how can I bring them business, right? How can I bring, so there should be something either on when you get a call from a seller that doesn't have a real estate agent, you need to ask them who's your realtor. If they don't have one, you immediately just have to start saying, well, I work with a lot of realtors who include staging as a standard part of their listing and marketing services. I'd love to get you connected.
And
Right?
that's something that stagers don't do enough as well. When I'm talking to my coaching clients, I always say, tell the agents that part of what you do is you send, sometimes you're the first one to get that call from a seller, and your preferred agents, and I love that term because they're your preferred agents, right? They're the ones who are going to get that referral, which could be thousands of dollars to them. Like all this, a lot of times the stagers think that they're the ones that are reaping all the benefits, but the benefits that you can give to an agent is so much more, bigger because their commissions are bigger, right?
Right.
So, I worked with a stager who had given an agent this big referral, and then the realtor was kind of referring her and other people. And, at the time I said, that's great. But, just, I think I would remind that agent that you just gave them a nice referral and you would appreciate, first dibs on something like that. Sometimes you can't help it because the realtor has to give a couple of referrals, but, you do expect that kind of loyalty. You want to give it. It's a give and take thing,
Right.
and,
Because even when you give them, it's not necessarily a done deal. The person may not have a realtor; they still have to go meet with the client, see if they'll see if they're a fit. They have to win the business, but just having an opportunity, somebody that they didn't know that was actually looking at buying or selling a property, and you get them connected, that's worth a lot. Because I've had realtors saying, in 9 years, my stager's never given me a lead, and I mean, and that's just because it's not that they didn't have the opportunity; they just weren't focused on that aspect of it. And realtors certainly definitely appreciate being the chosen, you being given that opportunity to be the chosen one versus just always stagers shouldn't always just have a handout like gimme business. It needs to go back the other way. And maybe you don't have opportunities to refer, but you need to ask your agents, do you have any events that you do during the year that I can help support? It could be like right now we have in our neighborhood, a few agents are doing a movie night. You can also, those of you that are creative, you can also suggest doing things like this. Partner with your realtors to do some sort of an event. So there could be a movie night. They're doing like, summer concerts in the park, Easter egg hunts. They're doing fall festivals. So these realtors are doing these events in communities to build awareness of who they are. So as a stager, support that. You could do You could run a table for them. You could write a check for $100. It helps, fund part of that. You could help co-sponsor the cookie booth or whatever. So I've done face painting and different things for realtors. And, so just ask them how you can support their efforts. And it might even just be that they have, maybe they have a postcard campaign. And so maybe you say, well, I'll give you a tip of the month, or I'll give you a staging tip that can go into one of the postcards. You both get exposure. You kick in a little bit of money for that postcard, because postcards are like, I don't know, you spend $400 or $500 just a realtor does to send stuff out. So, just ask how you can partner in their success. Because
Look,
I'm
I
telling
love
you
it.
that
Yeah.
most stagers are not.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, I think that it's important to build those relationships where they see that you really want to work with them and build that relationship. And it's, again, it's give and take. And sometimes you're giving more and sometimes they're giving more. But, those kinds of business relationships are the best. They really truly are, because they're founded on respect. And, those real estate agents are the gift that keeps on giving. They really truly are.
Because not only will they use you over and over. So we're staging a house Friday for a realtor it's been 12 years that we've been working together. She doesn't call any other stager, and she's referred other business to me as well. And so, you value those partnerships. And so I'm like, think about ways that you can make targeting your existing clients easier. So I don't know if you all have a CRM or have a newsletter that goes out, or you're sending flyers out. Even with Facebook back in the day, you can create groups of your friends. And so, I didn't do this from the very beginning, and I should have. So I have people that I'm like, I don't even know how I know this person. Are they a real estate agent? Are they a client? So I know my top clients. But, you can actually parcel out groups, and then you can send things specifically to those groups in social media. So you don't just send them to all of your friends. So you can there's different ways you can target people with different messaging, which we have to get creative, find out where they are, and friend them, be a cyber stalker in a way, find out what their interests are, so that, let's say you want to send them a thank you gift, instead of giving them a Starbucks gift card that is impersonal, unless they really love Starbucks, give them something that they like it could be, if they love a particular movie, tickets to the movies, or if they want to go to a concert, they love country music, maybe you find something, you give them something like that. What are their pets' names? I mean, get involved into their personal level without being too personal, but that's how that relationship is solidified, and the friendship, it goes into professional, but friendship as well. Because we get to choose who our clients are. I don't want to work with people who don't appreciate what I do or don't click. And, I've talked about this in the past. Not everybody's going to like you or me. It's all about temperament and personality. And I know I'm not going to be the perfect fit for every client that's out there. And that's okay, because once you realize you have that expectation that you are not going to fit with every single person you talk with, that's free. It's freeing, because then you feel like, I'm not being rejected. We're just not a good fit. It's almost like dating in a
Yeah.
way. Like you have to pick your people, right? So you want to have common interests, and how you
Yeah.
approach things.
And those are the people that you would just do anything for. Like when you have that feeling, like with my realtors, I consider them, dear friends, and I would do anything to help make something easier for them. And they've just been so appreciative and so good to me. And, it feels good. It feels good to be in that kind of relationship.
Yeah, and it is relationship, and as a stager, that, as Marianne said earlier, you don't need a ton of realtors. I mean, I always kind of choose like 15 to 20 that are calling you regularly. You'll have a solid 6-figure business when you have that core, and usually out of that 15 to 20, there might be 5 or 6 that are just really, using you a lot. It could be for consultations. 16 consultations a month at $250 a pop is $50,000 a year. And all your, when I break that down, I'm thinking, like, I'm telling people to close their toilet, make their pets clean, do certain things. But beyond that, I'm doing a lot more. I'm either validating what they already think they know, or just giving them a plan to take the stress off, so they feel like, we do these things, this is going to make a difference in how our house is sold. And it does. And so, do the math and realize that you don't necessarily need to keep going after more and more clients. And if somebody's watching this and you're like, well, I don't have, my clients don't stick with me, they're like one and done, then you probably need to get coaching with somebody to talk about your process, because it starts somewhere, and then maybe it's not a good fit, and so you're like, I don't want to work with that person again. But there should be a point where you have this loyalty starting to develop, and so either there's you're not able to understand how to continue to kind of cultivate. If there's like that awkward, like, well, what do I do now? Well, send a thank you note. There's ways to kind of, after this first staging, send a thank you note, maybe a little gift card or whatever it is, and say, really appreciated working with you. Look forward to working with you more in the future towards your success or whatever. Send them things of value. Like I found stats on the market in Canada last night, as I posted it to our Canada group. It's basically how the market is starting to kind of slow down a little bit, and gave some data. So be on the lookout for either style trends or real estate trends and say, hey, I saw this article, thought of you, shoot it to them. That keeps you ever present and you're providing things of value versus, I need money and you haven't hired me recently. So,
Yeah, and honestly,
so
the smartest thing to do is you want to do the quick needle moving things like meeting with them. And even during COVID, I had my clients doing a virtual meeting with them, like a Zoom. But really, with real estate agents, one of the things you have to remember, well, I'm sure Jenny, is that time is a big factor. And they don't like their time wasted. So you got to get right to the point and let them know basically how you can help them. If you're another thing I tell them to do, take them out for coffee or for lunch on your dime.
yeah,
Don't be cheap. Like take them out. And if it's somebody you really want to work with, take them out for lunch. And then you can spend a little more time getting to know them, about their family, that kind of thing. Then you can
yeah,
say, would you like to hear how I can help you get more listings? I mean, that's like hitting them right between the eyes. And then
absolutely.
you use your services to position how you can help them, like using the consult as a tipping point is one of them. There's other ways I'm going to talk about in the conference that you can show them how you help them get listings.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things, at least in our market here, is the ability to respond. Answer your phones. And I'm guilty of this too. I got a
Oh yeah,
message from
yeah.
from somebody that, when people leave messages, it doesn't like ping me, so I'm not very good about pulling those off. So I have to remind myself. But answer your phone. On my message, it says, for a quicker response, please text me, because I see the text right away. I will get right back to people. But don't make it hard for them to contact you. And so, be responsive to them and understand, as Marianne said, that they are running around in a lot of different directions. What we do is stressful in a different way. They have a lot more responsibility in the sale. They put a lot more time into the process. Some transactions can be like easy going, and others they can have all sorts of hiccups and challenges. And their goal is to keep that seller calm, and or if they're working with the buyer, to reassure the buyer that things are going to go through. And so they have a lot of different type of stress on them than we do. And
They definitely do. I mean, I think that, when you're doing the full on staging and all those moving parts, that's definitely more stressful than honestly doing consults. I love it's in, it's out. If they have questions after, I'm happy to help them, but it just is so much simpler in my life. And I have a lot of things going on, in my life and my coaching practice and stuff. But the full on staging and the inventory and all that, yes, that is a little more stressful, and things get delayed and the time thing and keeping people happy. But I don't think stagers have any idea how stressful, especially busy real estate agents, how tough it is, because it's like an adrenaline rush all the time. They're
yeah,
constantly being bombarded. And so anything that you can do that makes it easier for them, they're going to love you. And um it's just really, you just have to find the right agents. That's the bottom line. I mean, people think, well, this agent doesn't, well, okay, maybe or maybe not this agent is the right agent, or maybe it's no for now, but it's your job too. I mean, I think it's important that stagers have a way of staying top of mind. That's the long-term strategy, though. The
right.
short-term strategy is to meet with them, tell them how you can help them. The long-term strategy is to have a drip email campaign, to make sure that you put on Facebook every time you stage a house and tag the agent, create a little FOMO. Oh, that really great, highly successful agent is working with her. Maybe I should think about it.
Well,
You
even like, and that's one of the things that Stephen is going to talk about. He came to me with, a great ideas. He's going to expand on this at the conference, but just in a nutshell, realtors can't do any more coming soon. You can't have coming soon signs. You can't promote houses coming soon. I can. I can as the stager.
Oh, because of the code of
I
ethics, the
can.
realtors can't.
Correct.
That is great. Well,
I've
that's
been
a
doing that.
great. That is a
I've been doing coming soon, and I've also been doing like just listed with these properties. So I can as the stager. We don't apply to the rest of the laws. And so, you want to check with the realtor. So I just basically put a couple pictures of the house coming soon, the agent's information, and I put that out on Facebook. You tag them in it. Now you're advanced. You're helping market them in a way that they cannot do anymore,
that is
and that
so
adds value.
cool.
I give that
Golden
props
nugget.
to my son, Steven. Steven.
That is a real that's a golden nugget. So is that a national NAR code of ethic thing?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know realtors probably can advise better with their state, but I know that it was a thing that they were pocketing the listing. So they're trying to get away from the coming soon, and then they get the activity. The reason they got rid of it is because then they get they're trying to double end it, but also not releasing it necessarily to the general public. So all buyers are not having the opportunity to see the property. So then it becomes it's not equal opportunity for
Right.
that
It's not
property for
being a
everybody.
fiduciary of the seller,
Right.
which
And
is
so they're cracking down. And so I know at least in Colorado, it is taboo, but there are ways then that just opened up a whole nother way for me to add value to my realtor saying, you can't do it, but I can.
yeah.
So, and I just have a
Very
template
cool.
I created on Canva, and I just change it and you send it out and put it on Instagram and Facebook, tag the realtor,
And
so,
then all their friends see it because they're tagged. So
yep,
yeah, I mean, I think stagers don't show up enough saying, look what I just did. I staged this, or, went over asking, blah, blah, blah. Create that FOMO. Let people wonder why their agent didn't recommend it.
right.
Or let the agents who want to be like those highly successful agents that are doing this realize that there's some things that these agents are doing that differentiate themselves. And
Yep.
maybe you should be doing that too without saying it.
Yeah.
You're showing them. So
Really, agents watch other agents. I mean, and it's also, you talked about, you used the word avatar early on. We got like a couple of like a minute left here, but figure out like, who do you want as your ideal client? I mean, initially it was sort of like anybody who'll hire me, right? I'll take. And then as you get, more into, you think like, who do I want to align myself with? Do they have the same, company culture as I do, the same values, core values? You want to start thinking about even like the age of the people you want to work with. I may not relate to somebody who's a Gen Z, like a young 20 something person. I know I'm qualified, but I might not target those younger agents. I might be looking for the ones that are closer to my age, or older millennials. And what kind of properties do you want to be staged? And you want the urban ones downtown, so you target the realtors that do those. You want the luxury, then you target those. So really kind of think about what kind of business you want and who you want for your ideal client. And so that you can really then target your marketing that way versus using throwing a bunch of mud up on a wall and hoping some of it sticks. You have a much more laser. It's almost like a target, like, with a bullseye. Like, I'm really targeted about what kind of clients do I want? Because it is a two-way street. So
totally. And in the conference, I'm going to get really, really laser focused on my ideal real estate agent client and why my messaging changes to speak to them so that they feel as though I'm speaking directly to them. That's what sets you apart. It's copywriting. I study a lot of copywriting and direct response copywriting and all that. And this is something that will help you elevate your marketing.
absolutely. Well, I can't believe our hour just goes by like that. So I appreciate you being on. I can't wait to see you in September.
Me
And
too.
so everybody who's watching, you don't want to miss out on Marianne. She's also going to have a table at the as one of our vendors at the vendor expo. So you'll be able to get to know her and talk to her, and she'll be with us the whole time. She's not only speaking, but she's also attending. So I can't wait to have you join us. And if there's anything you need, you let me know.
I am thrilled. And if you, Jenny, if you can, I don't know if I can share this in my Facebook group, but if I
Oh
can,
yeah,
if you can give me the link, I'll share it in my Fire Up Your
yeah,
Business.
absolutely. That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thanks
We'll
so
be
much.
yeah. Thanks everyone. We'll be back next week. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Bye bye.